Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tuesday's Wrestling Talk. And this is Pro Wrestling Inside and Out Live, and we're going to be talking professional wrestling tonight, the history of professional wrestling. We're going to talk the Black Scorpion tonight, the Black Scorpion. Many people said they didn't like it, but it was one of the most talked about things they did, World Championship Wrestling in 1990. Also, we're going to talk about the Road Warriors, and when they left, some podcasters have been saying that they left because they were mad or they got fired. No, they worked. We'll talk about how they left there and how it was done back in 1990. All right, Jack Lord, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Still trying to find Robert Gibson. He kind of dropped out on us. But, you know, show must go on.
The show must go on. Hey, sometimes you just can't find your way.
So, well, what we're going to do tonight is we're going to make this the Jack Lord promotional show.
There you go. T-shirt, little cup. We've been telling you about all the merchandise we have available at Facebook.com. But we're going to talk Black Scorpion. Rodney, I think let's go ahead and start this thing out pretty good. A lot of people wonder where the Black Scorpion ideal came from. Ole Anderson has done a couple of shoot interviews, I guess what they call them, and telling about the Black Scorpion. He really doesn't have too much information on it, I've noticed. I don't think he remembers he even did it. But let's go back and let the people know where the Black Scorpion, the whole ideal came from, because it started in Continental Wrestling Federation. The ideal started there. Give people the ideal of where that came from and where it started from.
Well, we were actually looking for a vehicle that would spark Birmingham back. Birmingham had been damaged pretty good with all the TV changes, time changes, and the TV stations changes. So we really needed something that would, bring the people back in, something different, something they hadn't seen before. And so we come up with an idea called the Phantom. The Phantom was going to be, and if you ever been into the bowels and the lower levels of Boutwell Auditorium or any auditorium, it's kind of creepy down there. I'll just tell you right now, the lights are out. It's pretty scary, especially when you're down there by yourself. Me and Brent would go around and we would look through everything. We would go into the basements. We would be all over the building. We would explore every facet of the building because we were there lots of times way early in the afternoons before even let the people in. And so the idea came to have the Phantom of Boutwell Auditorium. And similar to the Black Scorpion, he would appear out of nowhere. He would start harassing the wrestlers as they come to the ring over the PA system. You could look up into the lights, and there he is, or he's up into where you would see the spotlights. He was going to be everywhere and going to be a pain, not for the good guys, but for the bad guys, as he was going to wreak havoc on everybody. Now, as every one of these kind of, I guess you call them vehicles do, they all have a backstory. And that backstory would progress as the time progressed. Now, Dad, first off, he said, well, that's fine. We'll do that. It sounds okay. He said, but what are we going to do for Montgomery? What about Birmingham? I mean, what about Dothan and Pensacola and Columbus, Mississippi? He said, well, we start off in Birmingham and then we expand it. Everybody says, well, we'll get you in Montgomery, and we know there's to be no Phantom there. And then he shows up in Montgomery, and then he starts showing up in Dothan. The beautiful thing about this, nobody was ever going to know who he was. He was never going to be unmasked, and he could be anybody at any time, and because it could be changed at any time. So that was the kind of the basis of the idea. Well, we were trying to pitch the same idea to Ole in WCW, and Ole did not see it because the Phantom, the object of the Phantom was going to be Ole and Arn. That was going to be, the Andersons was going to be his focus over something that happened to family members before. I won't go through the backstory. And that was going to be his focus. Well, Ole didn't see it that way. However, Jim Herd had come up with these new names, such as the Motor City Madman and the Black Scorpion, and Ole and Dad was him and Dad was sitting at Wendy's down at the Omni International, down at CNN Center, and he was like, well, what are we going to do with this Black Scorpion? I don't know. Then he came up with this idea about, remember the idea about the Phantom. He said, let's go over that. Well, he said to Dad, let's go over that one more time. What are you talking about? Next thing he knows, Dad says Ole throws his sandwich into the garbage and said, let's go. He said, I'm finished eating. He said, it's time to go. Let's go. Goes up and starts changing everything. And so then that is the birth of the Black Scorpion. And like I said, it was innovative. I believe truly innovative. Never really had been seen, I don't think, in that kind of way. And really, I think sparked, as I would like to say it, which will eventually, I'm sure, raise the ire of some people watching, as what I was about to say back in the day is anybody but Flair. Anybody but Flair.
Here's the thing that what people don't understand. You know, when Dad actually asked him about doing the thing, he wanted to still be the babyface deal, and they did want to do the Phantom. They knew they couldn't use the Phantom name, though. They knew that. They knew they couldn't use that. They'd get in trouble for that. So when they come up with this Black Scorpion, and it did work. It did work. It had one of the highest rated shows on the Clash of Champions. Dad actually got there. I was looking through his book. Here is actually the book that they used the book with back in those days. This is his book from 1990. As you see, it has some of the cards from that time frame when him and Ole was booking. And he got there in May. And so, you know, some of these cards on here. When was Starrcade? When did they have Starrcade?
Starrcade is in December. It was the Christmas show.
I believe so. Yep.
All right, because I know that Ole got fired in 1990, right as Thanksgiving hit.
Right.
Because Dad had a heart attack on Thanksgiving Day in 1990. So he was in the hospital when he found out that
was that when Ole stepped over him?
I think so. Yes,
he was laying in the floor and Ole stepped over him because he thought he was joking.
Yes, he stopped because he flew somewhere the day before. I can't remember where it was. I'm trying to look and see. It was November 22nd. I think they were flying back from Jacksonville, Florida. Actually, they had the Clash of Champions. Here's the Clash of Champions card back Tuesday, November the 20th, Jacksonville, Florida. The Clash of Champions. It looked like Arn and Flair against Reed and Simmons. That was the main event against Doom, and it said the world title or limo. Does anybody understand what that meant? I don't know if I remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Possibly where Teddy Long was going to be their chauffeur, I would assume.
Yeah, because it says world tag team title or limo, so I'm not for sure what that meant. The Danger Zone, Paul Lee with the Black Scorpion and Sting in a cage. The finals of that tag team, they had some kind of big tag team tournament that year where they brought in all kinds of people during that time.
The Tournament of the Universe or something to that degree.
Yeah, and the finals is going to be on December 16th at Starrcade. And I don't even know who these people are. Sergeant Kruger and Colonel De Klerk.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, they were supposed to be from South Africa. The South Africa contingency, yes.
Against Kamala and the Botswana Beast. Y'all remember that?
The old Botswana Beast.
I must have been sleeping during this time.
Well, you didn't miss much. So.
I was like, man, I must be sleeping.
Now, was this the Starrcade show you're talking about? Or the Clash of Champions?
No, this is Clash of Champions, which was on Tuesday, November the 20th, 8:05 on WTBS.
Yes, okay.
Motor City Madman against Lex Luger, which, I was very impressed with the Motor City Madman.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who he was, but I liked him. The Renegade Warriors. Who was this? Who was the Renegade Warriors? They were on the
those guys. Yeah.
I don't know who they were.
I'll watch it, and I probably still can't answer that question later.
I don't know who the Renegade Warrior was. Something Force. I'm not for sure what that is. Against the Steiners. Sid Vicious against the Night Stalker. Do y'all remember the Night Stalker?
I remember the Night Stalker.
Rotunda, Mike Rotunda against Star Blazer. Was who was it? Was that Tim Horner? Was the Star Blazer Tim Horner?
Maybe.
I'm going to tell you what, this is a long time ago. I don't remember half of this stuff. The Freebirds and Bobby Eaton against the Southern Boys, and I don't know really who that other – I can't read what he's got here. El Gigante wasn't there yet, right? Or was he already there?
I don't remember.
That could be I think that might say Giant. I think that does say Giant. I think that. Uptown Brian Lee. I didn't even know that he was there.
I don't remember him being there.
I'm telling you, we're learning all kinds of stuff there. So against Z-Man, Big Cat, which I was very impressed with as well. I remember him. Against the C-Man. Was that the Candy Man? Was that Brad Armstrong?
I guess so. I don't know.
Maybe.
C-Man.
Yeah.
Because he's in other cards too. Columbus, Georgia. He's in Atlanta, Georgia. So I believe that could be Brad Armstrong.
Yeah, that's probably Candyman. Yeah.
All right. Storm against Pillman. I don't know what Storm that is. Referees, a bunch of referees on this card. It look like 5 referees on this. But the card right there, I don't know if people can see at the Classic. Can y'all see that? Am I? Class of Champions card right there. Now, this Rodney Malcolm said, wasn't the Renegade, wasn't it Chris and Mark Youngblood? They might be right.
I think that is right.
I believe you're right. I believe that was Chris. All right. For those of you who are tuning in and you don't see Robert Gibson, he has disappeared. We don't know where he's at. I believe the Black Scorpion got him.
Jeffrey has a very good question. He says, which commentator said the Black Scorpion was after Sting because Sting owed him money? And I can tell exactly who that was. That was Dutch Mantell.
Well, let me say a little bit more about the Black Scorpion, because I just wanted to go over this real quick to show you some of the cards. But the Black Scorpion, people thought there is something said that Ric Flair said evidently in a shoot interview that he did, and he said that at the Clash of Champions on September 5th, 1990, the wrestler playing the Black Scorpion was Al Perez, who, according to Ric Flair, was supposed to bring the Black Scorpion until his unmasking. I respect Ric Flair, but that is not the truth. It was never supposed to be Al Perez. Al Perez was just the guy that they were getting ready to be. Because the person that they wanted it to be, and they did talk to him, Ron West talked to him, or one of his representatives, was the Ultimate Warrior. That was who it was supposed to be from the beginning. But, as usual, Jim Hellwig did not want to be the heel in the deal. He wanted to be the babyface and Sting be the heel. And they were not going to have that. So it didn't come out. So they were figuring out who it was. Now, who was going to be the ultimate guy in the end that was going to be the Black Scorpion? I'll let Rodney tell that story.
Well, remember, Sting had his dudes with attitude. That was the Junkyard Dog, Paul Orndorff, and Lex Luger. Now, to me, who more than a person just right up to you, messing with you, than one of your friends, which is right there, one of your dudes with attitude. So the West contingency wanted, number one, Paul Orndorff to be the Black Scorpion. Imagine if it was Paul Orndorff rather than Ric Flair. Imagine what it would have been like. The thing about it is the reveal was what was disappointing. The build-up was great. Honestly, I'll just tell you the truth. I didn't think Dick the Bruiser should be the guest referee. He could have probably watched the cage door, but I don't think he should have been in the match. But if you put Paul Orndorff in there, imagine what it would be. But let's be honest. The reason that it had to be Flair, and Flair was desperate for it to be him, realized that who was going to take and lead the company for the next 3 months was whoever was the Black Scorpion. Think about it. In a few months, he's the world champion again. And the next thing you know, he takes the belt and goes to work for Vince.
That was the thing that when people talk about the Black Scorpion and they talk about how it progressed, it was never supposed to be Ric Flair. It was never talked about being Ric Flair. And when he talks about things during that era, during the Ole Anderson era, which was from the middle of May until November, Thanksgiving. I think on that Friday he got fired, or it could have been the day before Thanksgiving. I don't think he got fired. I think Ole quit. I don't think he got fired. I think
it was a no-win situation with that. You have the corporate stooges; they have no idea how to run a wrestling company.
No.
And then that's when people like Sting, Luger, and Flair, when you let the boys run the company, they run it into the ground. It's just simple as that. You cannot allow boys to run the show.
Well, they booked that from May until that day. And even though people might want to think, and I respect Ric Flair, but Ric Flair had no clue what was going on during those months. Ole Anderson wouldn't let Ric Flair know anything. He didn't like Ric Flair, and so he wasn't going to let Ric Flair. Only Ric Flair knew what Ric Flair was going to do. He did not tell him anything else. And Ric Flair was not even thought about as being the Black Scorpion. They wanted somebody new. They wanted somebody different. That's the reason they were bringing in newer talent and younger talent, because they knew they needed younger talent for it to go 3 years down the line. Jim Herd is the only one that didn't understand it. Jim Herd was a moron. He was good at making pizzas, I think, but I don't know that he was good at anything else. He was not the smartest person. But that was the Black Scorpion story. I know people have told that story all over the place, but it did draw money. By the way, when they drew good houses with the Black Scorpion.
And for it to be so bad, WCW does it again. For it to be so bad, the WWE does it with nails, with the Boss Man.
Yeah, it's
same exact thing. No different in it whatsoever. Same exact thing.
But that's the story. Now we've got to tell a story. I guess I need to check up on some people over here.
Let's check these out.
We got a lot of people. So just stay tuned, because we're going to talk about the Road Warriors. And this time frame, other podcasters have said that the Road Warriors got left or they got fired. That is not the truth. And we will tell you, because during this time when they left, Ron West, Ole Anderson were the bookers of the territory at the time of World Championship Wrestling, and we'll explain to you exactly what happened with the Road Warriors during this time. So let's see where we're at. Mike Schaefer, listening in Alabama, and he says Bama. I put the alley in there. Terry Listergraph, what a hoot!
Terry thought before he listened to what I said.
Got the hoot, Gibson.
Richard Hood just checked in. Richard,
hey, Richard.
I think he was looking forward to Charles Alford was looking forward to.
We're sorry about that, Charles. It's just one of those things.
Well, Lance wants to know, does Robert even talk?
He talks to me on the telephone, but that's it.
Now, I'm just going to plead the fifth on all of this. Okay, I'm going to plead the fifth, and we're going to go ahead and go on with other stuff here. Let's see. Terry said, "Good evening, Brett, Rodney, and Jack." Rodney Malcolm said, "Your cup is too small, Jack."
It's refillable, though.
That's right.
There you go. You refill it with any hot or cold beverage.
Any beverage. That's right.
Available right now on Facebook. All you do is hit the shop. Michael Barr, hello from Southeast Alabama. Joe Hamblin, hey guys, from Williamsburg, Kentucky. How you doing?
Uh-oh. Looking what's in this picture. That's okay.
Ric Flair, hey, I don't have no problem. I think Ric Flair was a magnificent wrestler. I have no problem with Ric Flair, professional wrestler. I have no problem with him. People say he did the same match all the time, but so did other people. So that's the reason the territories worked, because when he kept on doing the same stuff over and over again, you take them and send them to another territory. You sit if Ric Flair was doing that. Well, they'll just send him to Florida for a while. They'll forget that he did all that stuff, and that's what made the territory system work.
In that vein, I read a thing about Terry Funk doing an interview about Harley Race, who left us, I think it was a year ago yesterday or the day before. But Terry was saying that he and Harley had 4 matches. They were set. They knew exactly what they were going to do, but just 4 separate matches. That's all they needed because they traveled all around the country. He said the only thing was we had to remember which match we had done where. He said, so we kept notes, so, and we would double check with each other, but we're going to do match number 2 this time. And he said, we had done them so much. He said, we didn't call anything. We would just simply send between with the referee between the dressing rooms, match number 2 or match number 3 or whatever it was. And we knew what we were doing.
That's what made wrestling great back then, because you could move. You could, if you had Brad Armstrong and he had wrestled for 6 to 8 months. And then if you were a smart promoter, and not just the booker, a promoter, because the booker usually didn't see it. It's the promoter, it's the owner of the company that watched the match and go, man, he's doing the same thing he was doing 3 months ago. We need to move him out. Then they would go to the booker and say, listen, it's time to move him out. And if the booker wouldn't listen, then the booker got moved out. So, right. They didn't. That's what made the territory system work. When did it stop? When people stayed in the territories too long and people saw their stuff for 5 or 6 years, people quit buying a ticket to see it because they'd already seen that movie. They wanted to see another movie. Same thing going on in wrestling today. They've seen that movie. Move on to something else. And they certainly don't want stupidity. And we might get into that later on some crazy stuff they're doing. Which, hey, I'm all right with the little Fight Club thing they did. I think that was the most real thing.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that later on. I thought that was great.
Yeah, I thought that worked out. I thought it worked.
I think they're eavesdropping on us because we talked about that off air, just a few weeks ago. So
maybe they know what we're going. Kevin said the Prophet Randy Savage was close to being the Black Scorpion if he could have worked out. The only thing about it at the time, he was still working for WWF, and I'm pretty sure he was. That was the year of the. Was that not the year that the Ultimate Warrior match happened at WrestleMania?
I think so.
Was that 1990? I could be wrong. So. Maybe somebody else will know about it, but and he had a contract to be a commentator after that, so they wouldn't have been able to get him. My computer must be upside down. No, we're upside down. You're not the one upside down.
Here, let me help you.
Jelena Beck said, "Hello, Jack."
Hey, Jelena.
All right, let's see. We've got somebody from Coleman, Alabama, I believe.
Hey,
Flippo, do you know him, Jack?
I do. Great guy. He's just hooked his wife up with Tom Pritchard for their training school.
All right. Old Lance Gardner had Jim Herd had some. I'll go ahead and show it. I don't know what the 2 things are, so I'm just going to go ahead and show it anyway. What's the 2?
He's a clown.
What's that?
And head slap.
Oh, the head slap. Yeah, I would agree with you.
Jim Herd. He was a clown.
The Ding Dongs was a great idea.
That was a great idea.
Because they were doing Jim Herd.
What happened if Jim Herd would have been in the ring?
The Sartain brothers was the one that did that, right?
Richard Sartain and Jim Evans.
I told them one time when they had just got through doing the gimmick, people were booing them. I said, why don't they turn you heel? It's so much heat. Every time you do something, you ring that bell. Every time you do something nasty, you ring that bell. When you load your mask and you hit them, you ring that bell and you just keep on ringing it till you got. I said, this is gold. But they don't even understand that it's gold. They could have got really good heat, but they just decided they didn't work as a babyface. They're going to get rid of them. So, who thought that was going to work? I think the Hunchbacks could have been better baby faces. Jim Herd, wow, old Joe Hamblin, old Jim Herd. Jim Herd thought he knew the professional wrestling, but there's somebody else that's in this era today that believes they know pro wrestling too, that's going to have the same fate that Jim Herd did. It'll take a little longer because they have this, but they will eventually fall. You don't, if you don't know the wrestling business, it's a hard business, even for people who have been in it a long time. So somebody coming in thinking they're going to make it, and we'll just say Tony Khan, I understand he says he books his own product. Now, what does he know about professional wrestling? I mean, that's like Jim Herd. So he is the modern day Jim Herd. Am I correct, guys?
Yes.
It's looking that way.
I mean,
I want him to succeed, but it's, man.
Oh, by the way,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead and say what you got to say.
I said, I made the statement today on my Facebook, that they're supposed to be in competition, and competition makes each product better. And I don't think anybody's told WWE or AEW that they're competing. So
I think you might be right, but this is the problem. This is the problem with Tony Khan, and I don't mean to be critical of him, because I know they're trying. I know that he believes what he's doing is correct, and it's his money. And if it's your money, you do what you want to do with it. If it's McMahon's money, you do what you want to do with it. You produce your show. But the problem is if I was going to make a movie, I'd hire a movie person to make it. I wouldn't do it personally myself, because I've never made a movie. Just because I watched a movie don't make me a movie director or make me a movie producer. So I think if he would stop, sit back, because what's happening to him right now is the NBA has came back. And because the NBA is going to be playing games on Wednesday nights, they are going to preempt AEW. Well, guess what's going to happen if you keep continuously preempt a company? They will eventually get no crowd whatsoever. They'll get no. And if TNT really wanted them to survive, they wouldn't do that. And so be very careful that AEW doesn't go by the wayside. They'll have to find another network, because their sports programming, baseball, football, whatever they have on TNT, it's going to be before AEW. So, and I just saw that today. It was all over the internet. So that does not bode well for All Elite Wrestling, because they're putting them everywhere. They're on Saturday. They're going to be on Saturdays one time, then they're going to be on Thursdays the next, and then they're going to be on, and some of them like at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So I just don't know how well that's going to work.
It's going to be a live show at 6 in the afternoon.
Well, I don't think they do it live, do they?
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They do their show live?
They are, I believe so.
Now, WWF doesn't do their show live, correct?
Not right now. They're pre-taping. The AEW may be pre-taping most of it. I think some still live, though.
Kevin said, was the Scorpion supposed to resemble the Ultimate Warrior? No, I don't. No, I don't think they even was going after that. Because, what's so bad about it is that Dad said sometimes when he was talking to Ultimate Warrior that he thought that maybe he was talking to the actual character of the Ultimate Warrior. He was so far out there in his thought processing. It's Joe said last week in December, usually after Christmas, is Starrcade. Dennis Cook, Cottondale, Florida, in the house. Mickey and Mayfield, who decided when championships were won or lost? Rodney, Jack, I'll let y'all take that one.
Go ahead, Rodney.
The Booker does.
Now, I don't know about now. Could be each wrestler decides. Hey,
yeah, I don't know how they're doing it. I know how I do it.
Go ahead, Jack. Tell us how you do it.
Everything that happens in that ring happens because the booker tells you what you're doing. You're losing championships. You're gaining. You're winning or losing matches. You're telling stories. Everything comes from the booker. And if the guys are good, they can go out there and do the things that the booker wants done. But it's the booker. That's your head guy.
All right, Michael Barr asked this question: how long did the Black Scorpion go back in that time? I don't remember when they started the Black Scorpion. Let's see.
In Asheville at Mountain Madness. And I believe that was back in August. So that was the first time it was done because, like I said, Jim Herd tried to throw everybody a curveball. He brought this card in. And then he said, Ole, and I think it was just a jab at Ole to say, see how smart you are. And he made this card up as if, you'll fall straight on your face. Well, yeah, one of the biggest. That Black Scorpion was one of the biggest rated Clash of Champions they had at the time.
Yes, that was true. We could do a whole program on just the time Dad worked with Jim Herd, because Dad was the one that had to go in there when Ole would cuss him out and tell him
to do things to himself.
This is a clean show, but Ronnie West wasn't that clean. So
no, he had to weigh with words too.
Ronnie West was rated R when it came
to every bad word I learned from him in the Army.
He used bad words together that didn't even go together.
No, he had hyphenated it was just when he cussed you out, it was just a glorious.
He was street eloquent.
I'll have to tell you the story real quick, and then we'll get back to the deal. They were going to do a thing, and it was I think it was Doom. I think it was Reed and Simmons and what was the manager's name again? Teddy Long. And they were going to jump Ric Flair and Arn Anderson, and so Ole said, "Hey, I need a couple of guys that's going to come down and just find some guys." Well, the Thugs ended up being Larry Cheatham was one of those guys. He was an old wrestler that lived in Cleveland, Tennessee. He also wrestled as Ron Cheatham, wrestled under some masks and stuff. Well, he brought a couple of guys down there, and this is Jim Herd. Jim Herd looked at my dad and said, "Well, I told you just to get some guys to play the part. I didn't tell you to get the real thing." This is what Jim Herd tells Dad, because he gets those guys and they jump. And I don't know. I think it's on television somewhere. You can probably see it somewhere. But it is them that jump Flair and Arn. I don't remember where they jumped them at. I don't. It may have had something to do with that limo. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been too long ago. But Mike Mason with us right here. What's up, guys?
Hey.
You'll learn a lot from those two. I don't know if it's good stuff, though, that he's going to be learning from. Let's see here. The Herd era was awful. I don't know that it could be as bad as what's going on today, though. I just don't think so. At least there was some semblance of wrestling back then.
That was the beginning of corporate getting their hands on the wrestling business, and it just.
Scott did say the Renegade Warriors was Chris and Mark Youngblood. I didn't remember that, but Stephanie said he was. Now I'm thinking she's probably talking about our father that was anything,
Colorful.
I think she might have been talking about the Candyman.
The Candyman, that's right.
And I think that was Brad Armstrong. But they didn't last. Now, why did they last? Does anybody know why they didn't last? I don't remember. It had to do something. And I know Jim Herd come up with all these people. I think the War Eagle was one of these guys. Do we remember this guy? He was called the War Eagle.
I don't remember that one.
This is during the same.
I would have hated him. Roll Tide.
Yeah, I mean, there's just you remember, Norman was there for a while. If you remember, Norman the trucker.
Norman, and then Norman the lunatic.
Yeah, this is I think the Iron Sheik was here during this time. The Master Blasters, people remember the Master Blasters?
Remember the Master Blasters?
Was a Herd ideal. I think it was one of them, Kevin Nash.
Gosh, I don't remember.
I just remember those two guys, and I remember them not being too good. But we'll go on.
Possibly Kevin Nash then.
Yes.
Richard Hood said Kabbalah 2 was both Botswana Beast. Was the Beast the guy we knew was the Botswana's Beast?
I think so.
Joe said, I remember Z-Man and Pillman winning the U.S. Tag Team titles. I think they won it on one of these clashes or pay-per-views that they did.
Yeah, they were a good team. They looked a lot alike. They worked well together.
They were good. They were really good together. I think we already said which commentator said the Black Scorpion was Sting because Sting owed the money, and he may have owed it. He may have owed Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, it was him. I'll tell you right now, a guy that helped sell again the whole thing was Paul Heyman. Paulie Dangerously. He was absolutely fantastic of explaining how was it that the Black Scorpion was getting access to the TV. How was he getting access to the speaker? And Heyman really laid it out of exactly how he got his, and he was very important, I think, to help getting that thing over.
Yeah, he did it. He did a good job at that. Let's see.
Like all the commentators did.
Terry said the Night Stalker was Brian Clark.
Yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, it's, I don't.
Good guy. I like Brian a lot.
Didn't he go and do something in WWE?
Yeah,
Adam Bomb or something.
He was Adam Bomb up there. Yeah.
So, Michael Storbert. Hello, everyone. Hello, Michael. Rodney says Sting was way over. Couldn't have been a heel. No, he could not have been a heel. They knew that at the time. Plus, Ultimate Warrior was not going to stay there long, so it wouldn't have mattered. I don't think he ever stayed there longer than 3 months, did he? Anytime he was there. Let's see. Joe said January 1991 he beat Sting, and wow, later that year he left. I remember him showing up in WWF for that title. Then Luger beats Wyndham with Harley Race joining Luger. And you know what? That was bad for Luger. I feel bad for Luger during that point in time because people felt like he wasn't really the world heavyweight champion. Flair should have done the right thing. He should have dropped the belt before he left.
That to me is one of the most unforgivable things that really, for me, I appreciate Flair's ability, but that shows just a lack of character to do what he did after Harley Race did it for him, after Dusty did it for him. The very least he could have done is do that. And because I can tell you right now, Mr. Flair, for those who want to believe it or not, he ended the National Wrestling Alliance by that little one move. He ended.
Did he not, ask Hurd for his deposit back on the belt, and Hurd refused to give it?
I think so.
Reasons.
Yeah, I don't. There's no telling what, but he should have at least did the job for Luger, so it would at least made Luger not look so bad because he never.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he could have dropped the belt to Luger, gone in the back, and said, "Hey, Luger, give me the belt back, and I'm going to hold it up. They can come up with a new one for you." There's ways to do business without making somebody look bad. What their fault. And I'm not a Lex Luger fan at all, but I felt sorry for him.
I did too, because he just never got the recognition that he deserved because he didn't beat Flair, and I feel bad for him in that respect. Joe said Sting was tremendous as a babyface at the time. Yes, he was. He was over. Sting was over in 1990. Kevin said, I heard Ole got fired at the power plant for doing a Smoky Mountain interview for his son. Yeah, that's when he came back later on. That wasn't during his booking stint. He came back and he was over the mini movies, by the way.
The mini movies.
Ole Anderson was over the mini movies. A lot of the mini movies that you watched, I think his girlfriend or wife at the time, Sharon Sadella was her name. She was over that department, so Ole was over the many movies. So a lot of that stuff you saw, that great.
That was awesome.
Hello there, my name is Steve.
Here, read these cue cards.
That was Ole Anderson creation, by the way. So when anybody ever talks about stuff that's being done now, he was being paid to do it. So I mean, he wasn't like. They said, "Hey, they didn't call them mini movies. Yeah, they called them mini movies, didn't they?
They called them mini movies, yeah."
Yeah, that's. Rodney Malcolm said, "Ole still don't like Ric Flair." No,
there's a lot of people Ole doesn't like.
Yeah, he ain't the only person that. But Rick, that's at the time they really and truly Ole wanted rid of Ric Flair. So if he would have left the way before that, I don't think Jim Herd liked Ric Flair. I don't know why. I don't know what he did to him. I really don't know what he did to him. But I think it was more of with Ole, it was more of a personal issue. When Jim Herd, I don't think he knew even who Ric Flair was. He knew who the pizza guy that made the great pizza that they put down in there, but I don't think he knew any wrestlers. I don't think he ever watched wrestling. But he did say, what was the promoter that said he knew? Sam Muchnick, maybe.
Maybe.
That's who he knew. I think he was from.
Well, that would explain why Dick the Bruiser was on the Starcade show.
This is true, and
I love Dick the Bruiser, but like I said, he shouldn't have been in that match.
I like Bronco.
Slowed that match way down.
I like Bronco Lubitsch too, but man, it'd take him forever to get down there, and you could be kicked.
When you get the 3 count with Bronco, you got beat.
You actually got 5 count there.
5 count. 1.
I think that's where King Kong at 5 count, because he had to be the 5 count.
Well, if he would have had that one, it'd have been a 10 count. Bronco though.
Stewart said, "Sad guys like Jim Hart have no business being in the office." No, he had no business being there. But at the same time, writers have no business being in professional wrestling unless you know and have a history of wrestling in some form or fashion. You watch wrestling. I don't think these people even watch wrestling. I think they came from a General Hospital, the bad ratings they had at General Hospital, and they said, "Listen, we can write wrestling because we can write as bad as General Hospital's being written right now. So we can write it as bad as the other soap operas. We can write it as bad as the rest." Y'all are having 0.3 ratings. Writing that soap opera. Oh, come on over here to wrestling, man. Well, that's good for us. You can give us a 0.3 as well. That'll be good for us. What in the world are they thinking, bringing people in like that? If they wasn't successful wherever they were writing at to begin with, what makes them going to be successful for your company? I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. Now I've just turned heel. Jeez. Y'all made me turn heel tonight.
Nobody, when you have these people have no business in it, you turn heel. You just tell them the truth.
Joe Evans, Jack Lord, number 1.
Better than being number 2.
I think he's getting the job. It looks like he's a referee.
Get that check in the mail there.
Joe was a good referee. He'd been retired for a while.
All right, Jeffrey said, one last Black Scorpion story. Cornette had his first Smoky Mountain Wrestling tape. It was Carl Stiles under the hood, and he did the honors for a preliminary guy. Never heard from him again. Carl Stiles, Country Carl Stiles. We'll be talking about him on the Continental Championship Wrestling discussions because he is a big part of when Dirty Dutch Mantell returns in 1987. Very interesting things, a very interesting story we can tell you about Dutch Mantell and Carl Stiles and what we wanted to do with Carl Stiles back during that time. So the conclusion, Cornette 1, Herd 0. Yeah, Jim Cornette didn't like Jim Hurt as well. There wasn't many people that did like Jim Hurt. He just didn't know what he was talking about, and there was no doubt. George Hyatt, Buffalo, New York.
Hey, George.
David Lee Flippo said, watched Bret Hart and Ric Flair title match a couple of nights. Ric Flair was a worker, no doubt. Hey, if you haven't watched Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair, you're missing some of the greatest matches that's ever been out there. There's no doubt. And, to me, and I don't know about y'all, but Ric Flair's work in WWF at the time was tremendous.
It was.
Y'all agree?
Yeah, it was.
I saw interviews with him where he was trying to prove himself. He didn't have a lot of confidence going up there.
Oh, he was good. He didn't do, if you think about it, he didn't do a lot of his formula matches in WWF.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
So that I think that was some of his best work when he went there and worked for how long was he there? 2 years?
2 years, I believe.
He and Savage did some great stuff, no doubt.
Even though Vince McMahon got mad at him at some match that they were supposed to have some pay-per-view they were going to do, and they had the match, or it was a TV match maybe, and they did the same match twice, and he got mad at him. At that point, I don't think he wanted either one of them in the ring anymore. I don't know what happened. I don't know what transpired, but he did get mad and tell them both off in what they call the gorilla position. If people don't know what the gorilla position is, it's a position right before you go out to the ring. We used to just call that the area right before you went to the ring. But they actually, because Gorilla Monsoon would be in the spot every week, that would be his spot. They ended up calling the gorilla position because of that. So we had no names for that stuff. Mickey Mayfield, who was the lookalike that Hogan brought into WCW, and he didn't. I think he did. Do y'all know who he is?
That was the guy that did the Renegade. I think somebody said his name here in the questions at some point. But yeah, he eventually wound up committing suicide.
Wow, that's sad.
It's sad. That's Dr. Phil Bo Grice said, "Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for explaining my knowledge about the golden age of wrestling. Thank you so much, Dr. Phil Bo Grice." I always want to call him Bryce for some reason. I think I'm gonna just change his name. By the way, if people didn't know it, everybody that comes on the show now, all are insiders. That's the nickname or fandom name, I guess is what they call it for everyone that comes on our show now. We are all called insiders now. So we all get the inside scoops. And today we've had a lot of inside scoops. So I may have even turned heel once or twice on this program. There's something I was going to ask, and now I've lost all train of thought. Rodney, was you going to say something? I know you looked like you was going to say something.
No, I was just sitting here listening. Go ahead.
All right. Never mind then. I just lost the whole train of thought. That's what happens. I'm telling you, I have moments that I just lose things. In the middle of GCW 1981 on YouTube, the beginning of Ric Flair. Well, that was not the beginning of Ric Flair. When did he start? 1976? Did he?
It was in 74.
74,
Yeah, he was teaming with Rip Hogg. I mean, and I saw it, and you saw Ric Flair in 74. He didn't look like anything he did in 78. I'm here to tell you, I would say he was 270, I would say. I mean, he was
270, 280 range, dark blonde hair, chunky.
Yeah, he
had that Jack Lord body.
he was like sweet, big. He just looked like Sweet Hands a bit there.
You know, they say that he got that big because he lived with Ken Patera, and that's who
he was in tremendous shape. You know, he had a weightlifter body.
Yeah, that's why. I think Ken Patera was a weightlifter at the time, so they were training together, and that's how he got that. Then he got the opportunity to come to work for Carolinas, and he never quit. Now I don't know what year he became world champion. Does anybody remember?
That would be 81. Right, okay. I think that was 81, right?
So, Lance, you're talking about when he became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, 1981.
Right.
Let's see. Kevin said, "Watch the man in the right-hand corner. He may have an international object."
Could be.
Now, Jack always has those Alabama objects.
You know? local objects.
He always buys locally.
Local.
Never foreign objects. No international objects.
There's a gimmick store right on the corner up here.
Richard said, "Was it Al Perez the Black Scorpion?" Yes, he was one of the Black Scorpions. There was a couple of different Black Scorpions. The Angel of Death was one of them. I can't only remember his name.
That was part of the thing to keep you guessing, keep him changing all the time. It wasn't supposed to be one person all the time. It wasn't. It was supposed from the beginning. It was. When I was explaining about the Phantom, he was never supposed to be the same person, because if you get in the same person, you see what I'm talking about. It's just.
Joe said the Black Scorpion was an interesting concept. Loved how it built the Flair women to go back. And by the way, that was not only Anderson stuff. By the time November was, they changed everything. I was looking at these cards in December, and the cards that they had actually booked for December. And I don't think any of these cards ever actually took place. I think they changed them. They changed them drastically during this time. So, because did the Freebirds ever go against the Steiners?
Yes.
Start wrestling against the Steiners? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So they went through that, because I know the Nasty Boys and the Steiners, which had great matches.
Yes.
Drew some great houses with that. And I will eventually get the houses of what they were drawing prior to Ole Anderson's booking, and what happened to the Omni, because I know the Omni really took off and started drawing.
Yeah, that was sad. Very sad.
I will get the actual numbers. I do have them somewhere. I just don't have them with me. Really, the show wasn't supposed to be about this, so I didn't have the information ready. But I will have the information of what the crowds were drawing and what they drew during that time Ole Anderson and my father Ron West was taking care of the booking, and I will have that.
You kind of wonder whose idea was it to have Mean Mark against Brian Pillman as the main event at the Omni.
Yeah, that was not good. The Hunchbacks, Lance. I'm telling you, we're talking about that. I'm telling you, one of these wrestling organizations, And I'm telling you, one of these current wrestling organizations is going to have some hunchbacks. Before you know it, there's going to be some hunchbacks on one of these shows. There's no doubt. Rita Cantrell is watching us.
Hey, Rita.
Malcolmania.
Yeah.
I remember that. Man, that was tremendous back then when the Midnight Express was going against them and beating them. Boy, they took some of the best bumps I think I've ever seen.
Those guys were daredevils.
They were. They take like triple when they clothesline. They take triple little deals before they hit the ground. They were getting over. Well, they were from somewhere in South Carolina, right?
Right across South Carolina line.
Well,
Anderson, South Carolina.
Lance, woo! I was just doing the woo. I got over it as much as Paul Lee gets over when he does it. Or, Buddy Landell never did the woo, did he?
He couldn't. He tried. He couldn't.
Oh, did he try doing the woo?
He tried. He couldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
He tried.
He's got Cody and Jericho. I think he's talking about
AEW. Yeah.
I feel bad for Jericho. I know I shouldn't because he's getting about $3 million a year. But man, I just feel sorry for what he's doing right now. He's whatever he's built. People are going to remember him for what he's doing now, and I know he don't care. I mean he's laughing all the way to the bank. But that's all I can say about that. Hey guys, Tony Khan has the right people helping him. Well, Rodney, I'm glad you think so. And I hope he does.
Where's the alcohol?
He must be. Rodney, I understand what you're saying. You're a fan of, and we don't. Here if you want to be a fan of that product, we're all right with it because there's going to be fans for every product. There's some people like the roller derby. So, and the roller derby was crazy. It was nuts. It became a parody of itself because the roller derby wasn't supposed to be what it became. It became a joke after a while. Rodney, let me explain to you a little bit just what my thought process is. I grew up in the wrestling business. My dad spent 36 years, almost 32 years in the wrestling business. He took everything he got. He stayed away from home. He got a divorce because he loved the wrestling business and he took it serious. And I think when you look at how you're taking the business serious, and when you see stuff that's killing the business, I remember Dad saying one time he was watching wrestling, and this was about 2012, and I don't remember what was going on. He called me one time from the circus, and he said, he said, I hate to say this, but I wouldn't tell nobody that I ever had anything to do with wrestling business with what's going on today in wrestling.
He sure did.
And when you take people like Harley Race, and you take people like Ted DiBiase, Iron Mike DiBiase, Terry Funk, Dory Funk Jr., the people who really worked hard to do what they did and give these people the opportunity to be where they're at now and make the money they did. You disrespect them. You just disrespect what they did for the wrestling business when you parody what they did. And I think that's what you need to look at. Is what they're doing today. Are you enhancing the wrestling business? Or are you hurting the wrestling business? And I don't know. I don't watch AEW. So I've watched bits and pieces of it, and that's all I can watch. Because it's a parody of wrestling. It's too much comedy in it. And I don't want to see a comedy show. If I want to see a comedy show, I'm going to turn on a 30-minute comedy show. And,
speaking of that, I was watching some Rodney Dangerfield. He's great. He is great. I laugh. It doesn't matter how many times I heard those, I still laugh at it.
All I want people to do is, if you're not going to take wrestling out of your name. If you're not going to do wrestling, take wrestling out of it. Well, all elite wrestling. Why don't you call it all elite entertainment? And take wrestling out if you're not going to produce wrestling. If you're the World Wrestling Entertainment, you're not going to produce wrestling, just call it World Entertainment and take the wrestling out. And don't kill something that's been around for 100 years and you'll eventually just kill it to a point that nobody wants to see it because you parodied it so much and you've sanitized it and brought it back down to something that nobody wants to see. That's my opinion. Rodney may have other opinions. Jack, Rodney, you may have other opinions, and that's fine. That's what makes the world go around. Am I correct, guys?
That is correct.
I watch AEW, every week, and I want to like it. And they have some amazing talent there. They really do.
Yeah.
But there's no direction to me. It's just like, hey guys, let's throw this at the wall and see if we can get people to laugh at it. And laughing at wrestling is not what you want. It's never what you want. I mean, if you're wanting comedy, just produce a comedy show and, a sitcom, take the wrestling part out of it and just have everybody sit in the back and, do their little behind the scenes stuff. If that's what you want to do that. It seems like it's all about the buddy system up there anyway. It just doesn't seem like they're trying to really connect to fans. And again, I've said this many times, I realize I'm not the demographic that they're looking for, but I really don't see how they're getting any demographic, to me. And honestly, with that kind of money, with a station that is seen worldwide, basically, and you're still not breaking 1 million people a week, you're not doing something right.
Yeah, there's something being done wrong. And Rodney, we don't listen. We want you to know that we have no problem that you like the product.
No, everybody likes something.
Yeah, but it's not our cup of tea.
I got a lot of friends that are, some of the biggest names in hardcore wrestling. I can't stand to watch it. It's not my cup of tea. Love those guys. Got nothing but respect for them, but it's not something I'd pay to see.
Well, the thing about it is we all want to see a certain type of wrestling, and this is my thought process. There's about 8 million wrestling fans that are waiting for something. They're there. They're there, but they're not watching the current product. And why are they not watching the current product? I think it's because they've parodied the product.
Right now, you've got very few sports on, and I'm not confident that a lot of sports are actually going to come back and stay back. Baseball, may go away here pretty quick. Same thing with basketball. When these case numbers start rising, they're going to shut everything down. Well, wrestling's still being able to be seen, but we're still not, I say we as an industry, we're not drawing those people that are sitting at home looking for something. Yeah. What are they looking at? They're not looking at wrestling right now, because the numbers haven't changed. In fact, they're going down. And they should be going up because live entertainment, they're still trying to give that to them through sports entertainment, wrestling, whatever they want to call it. But people are not tuning in for it.
No. Rodney, any comments over that while I look through our people?
As I've said before, the further away they get from wrestling, the worse it's going to get. Except that's my opinion. And I right so far, I've been right about that. The worse it gets is when you get farther away from what brought you to the dance.
Joe said, is Eric Bischoff going to be a guest moderator on Wednesdays? I have heard yes, he is going to be on there against the guy that puts his hands in his pockets, whatever his name is, and Chris Jericho. I don't know why, because I don't think the guy talks, does he? Does the Orange Cassidy even talk? Does he do it?
Yeah, he talks.
Does he talk? I didn't know. I just know that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. People can say putting your hands in your pockets and kicking somebody in the shins is great entertainment, but it's
funny. It's funny, Brent. It's funny.
It's disrespectful to people who actually blood, sweat, tears, work 7 days a week in the wrestling business.
That I read is the premise of the gimmick. It's supposed to be disrespectful. Flicking his nose at what professional wrestling was. Now, I don't think that's his personal opinion, but the character, that's what the character is aimed at.
But see, when you do stuff like that, this is what they think. They think that's going to get heat, but he's supposed to be the baby face, though.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the baby face. You disrespect
again, that goes back to everybody's afraid to be a heel, except Jericho. Jericho's really about the only one there that's not afraid to be a heel.
Yeah, because he's making enough money, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Easy fix for Brian Bodie Green said easy fix for AEW. Move to a different night if it was the NBA. I don't think they're going to do that. And let me tell you the reason, because they have preempted them up till September, the end of September. I will tell you what happens to you from experience when you keep on getting preempted. Been there, done that, went to that rodeo, rode that horse, and I know what happens to you. You eventually get canceled. And so that does happen to you, because that means they don't care if you're on the air or not. So I'm sorry.
What we discussed earlier about Birmingham, Alabama.
We will talk about Birmingham, Alabama, and when we get to Continental, what happened. That happened to Continental Championship Wrestling in 1987. We got preempted. We didn't get preempted. Ron Fuller's Continental Championship Wrestling kept on getting preempted, paying $1,000 a week for the Birmingham show. Kept on getting preempted.
To be seen at 1:30 on a Monday morning, 1 a.m. Monday morning. And
so eventually, if they keep on doing that to you and they don't give you another time slot,
right?
Be careful, because
it's just they're moving them. That tells you they want to move them completely off the network.
Yeah, well, they never produced the show they told TNT that they were going to give them. That is not the show that they told them. So.
But it could be that they don't know how.
Lance said, "Jack Lord Booker Fire."
You need to have a shirt of that. There you go. He needs a shirt of that.
Brian Bodie Green said, I think he's talking about Father. He was hilarious with the cuss words. Yes, Ron West. He did some great cuss words. He
was prolific in profanity.
Eric B. Miller wants to say, who was the Black Scorpion? It was several different people. That was the thing about that. Hey, by the way, before we get off of here, I told you we'd talk about the Road Warriors. When the Road Warriors left in 1990, I don't know exactly. I didn't really see this. I didn't have time. I don't know when they left there, what time they left, but they were leaving right as Dad was getting there in May, and there were podcasters that said that, they got mad and left. No, the Road Warriors did not get mad and leave. They worked out a notice with WCW. They knew it was time for them to leave. They had done everything they could do in the NWA, WCW. It was time for them to go to WWF. Dad talked to Pat Patterson. He talked to Terry Garvin. They worked it all out. They gave them a notice, and they made sure the Road Warriors did everything they were supposed to do before they left to go to WWF. They were working together back then. Dad talked to Pat Patterson, Terry Garvin a lot back then. So it wasn't one of them things where they left and they did actually work their notice out. So they didn't get mad and quit and all that kind of stuff. That didn't happen. They knew it was time for them to leave. And
that's because that's what that podcaster did. He got mad and left.
This is true. The podcaster we're talking about.
The podcaster was told to his face he was nothing more but a clown.
And people can probably think, we won't say who the podcaster is, but there's a couple of podcasters decide they want to think they know what was going on during that time frame. The podcaster we're talking about called the two people old and senile and didn't know what they were doing, and he wouldn't have mattered if he. Unfortunately, it wouldn't have mattered. He was going to get fired anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered if he quit or go. He was going to be gone anyway, and one of his team members was going to stay regardless, so it wouldn't have mattered. And I will get into that story one of these days as well, because you hear stories, and you want to make sure that people know those stories are one-sided, and they make you look better than it makes the other people, and that's what that story does. Am I agree? Do y'all agree with that? Sometimes it's
it sounds fair to me.
Now, when we get the Continental Championship Wrestling, Continental Wrestling Federation, we're going to tell stories. And those stories will not always be that make even us look good, because it was a bad situation at the time, and it took a whole group of people to get to where that company was at. So if it's something we have to say that it was a mistake we made, well, it's a mistake we made, or a mistake our father made. He would even tell you that. He was here, the mistakes he made in doing things. It wasn't always someone else's fault. Scorpio. What's that name again? Black Scorpion. Thank you. Turned out to be Flair. Yes, it did. Let's see. Eric Miller asked some question. I thought Jim Herd would put Jack Lord as the Black Scorpion. I don't think Jack was even talking to him at the time. He just thought he was a pizza man. When he called, he said, "This is Jim Herd." He didn't know who he was.
I actually went over there right before Jim Herd and took the physical, and they saw how bad my knees were, and so the offer was rescinded. But I hated that for years. But then I thought, well, at least I was good enough to get looked at. So there you go.
Adam, I don't know. He said, Jace. AEW has a lot to fix, and I don't see them doing it.
I hope they can, though.
Let's see. I hate when Marks call it a
script.
When I wrestled, I never heard that term. That's W Sports Entertainment term. Well, at the same time, I think that's what's wrong. I don't think the people are good enough to read them. That's what the problem is. They read them things, they're thinking, this is 2 pages worth of stuff I've got to remember. Now am I remembering all this stuff? I guess.
Well, we've always been, if you want to call it that, scripted. I mean, the booker writes down his ideas and knows what he wants and out of the matches and where we're going forward with stuff. But what real bookers used to do is you sat down with the guys and tell them what you want and where you're looking for, and then you reach a medium with them of how they can understand it and be able to put it out there, because you can come up with great ideas. But if those guys can't figure it out to make it work, you've wasted your time. But you can still get something out of that. You can still stay on that same road. You just might have to go off on a trail or two, to get them to understand it.
Let's see. Mickey Mayfield said concrete and steel. Was that the name of the Master Blasters? Is that what he was talking about? Is that the name of the Master Blasters? Chris Chavez was the War Eagle. I didn't remember that. Let's see. Joe Hamblin, Kevin Nash was Master Blaster, Oz, and Kenny Vegas. Yes. That Oz was one great gimmick right there. I'm going to tell you. All he didn't have is Dorothy, or did he have a Dorothy?
The first time he came out, I remember he had, didn't he have a dog or something? A Toto?
No.
I can't, something like that. Maybe there was a girl carrying a dog that first entrance.
Was it? Okay, I don't remember. It was an impressive entrance, though. I have to give them that. I mean, they spent a lot of money on that thing.
And then once the bell rung, it went all downhill.
Vinny Vegas. I got his weight wrong one time in Mississippi. We had the Mississippi Mayhem tour. Junkyard Dog was the main event, and I don't remember who it was with at this point, but whoever it was, people didn't want to go see the Junkyard Dog against whoever it was on that main event. I think it might have been Dick Slater. I think it might have been Junkyard Dog or Dick Slater. But it didn't draw very well. But I think I said he was 258 pounds or something like that. It was one of them towns and I've never seen a man get so mad about a weight in my life. So years later, I was in Dothan and he was there, and Larry Zbyszko was there, and I was doing the announcing, and Larry Zbyszko, I went up to Larry and I said, "Hey, I just need to get your weights and where you're from." He said, "Oh, it don't matter where I'm from." I said, "Well," and Kevin Nash was sitting over there with Scott Hall, and I said, "Well, some people get very upset when you don't get their weights right, and Larry Zbyszko looked over and he said, "Hey, wait, no." He said, "Well, no, we can't let this go." He said, "Kevin, can I ask you a question? Did you get upset over your weight? That's the problem you had that night, was your weight? You might worry about your working ability and don't worry about no weight." And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And he said, and to Kevin Nash, he said, I know. I should have done it. So
Did Larry had him under the bench, didn't he?
Yeah. Retro Rob. It looks like New York 62, I believe is what. Jim Herd didn't even make good pizza. Wow. I used to work at a Pizza Hut in St. Louis, and they came in boxes frozen. I love it, Retro Rob. You made her night on that one. let's see. I think I already did that one. I don't know how I went backwards somehow. Joe said, wasn't the Halloween Phantom brought out by Paulie Dangerously revealed the Phantom was ravaged Rick Rude? Yes, they did eventually. They did eventually do that. But I think everybody was dressed up that night, wasn't they? On that show.
Yeah,
that was the one Halloween Havoc at Chattanooga, wasn't it?
I believe you're right.
I think you're right.
Because I was there. That was the night I called your dad and asked for 5 tickets, and he gave me 50.
Yeah, I was giving those tickets away like they were candy back then. Jimmy Powell was running a show in Cleveland. I was giving them away each week. So that was.
I remember your dad handed them to me and saying, "Now don't sell these."
The night
and I did.
Ox Baker. Did not know that. I did not know that he was. That Dodson thing just keeps on coming up.
He's trying to get the wording right.
Okay, I got you. Joe Hamblin, big Flair guy, but I agree should have dropped the title and done business. Asked for $25,000 deposit back on the belt, which Hurd refused to give him. So he went to WWF. Luger should have gotten the belt. But I'm gonna tell you what, that was some superb stuff they did when he got the WWF with that belt. I thought that was tremendous. Here's the real world champ. That was tremendous stuff. They don't even do anything even similar or close to that stuff they were doing with Flair back then. Bobby Heenan was so good. Richard said Flair didn't like Luger.
Well, you should have gotten in line. Nobody did.
Nobody liked Lex Luger. Well, I don't think Luger liked anybody, though. I don't think it was.
No. It was
common. Eric Miller said, I think Warrior came to WCW, and that was for Hogan. Yeah, I believe you. Yeah, now Warrior says, now I don't know if I don't know the truth in this. I don't know if y'all have heard this or not, but a Warrior said the only reason he brought him in there was because Hogan wanted to beat him again. And that's what he said. Now I don't know. What do y'all think? Did Hogan get him there because he wanted to beat him?
Yeah, he wasn't going to anyway.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know. It's just
I don't know if it's true or not, but I wouldn't have blamed Hogan.
Yeah, I would have never put him over. I'm sorry. I would have never put him over. I would have said, no, I'm not putting Ultimate Warrior over. I'm sorry. You can put me anybody else.
Is there anybody else? Jose Luis Rivera, is he available?
The Conquistador. Maybe even him.
Jose Estrada, is he available?
Barry Horowitz could have. I would have put him over.
He would have been great. Barry Horowitz would actually have been good.
You remember when Barry Horowitz won a match on WWF television? He lost.
The one that patted himself on the back.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah, he was great.
That was a great gimmick. I can't remember. Do y'all remember who he won against? He beat somebody on television. Maybe one of
was it Tom Pritchard or his partner won?
It could have been one of those two guys, but he beat him on television. People went nuts.
Yeah,
because he got beat by everybody. The lady sitting at the front row beat him one time. So I mean, that people were just
he had done that same gimmick in Florida years ago about the loss record, and they just redid it again in WWE and it popped huge.
Yeah, I think Dutch Mantell was booking during that time. That was going on. Stuart Kemp said you could find people that genuinely hate each other have the greatest matches. This is true.
Yeah.
This is true because they didn't mind beating each other up. So Richard Hood said, I think Jim Herd worked for the St. Louis promotion. Oh, did he? So he worked in the concession stand selling the pizzas?
Probably.
Here's another guy that said, another guy named Rob McBee, I think probably the same guy that was on there. He came on Facebook and he also told us about the pizza. So Lance Gardner said Rick Wilson. Was that the guy, the Renegade?
I believe that was him.
Let's see. Comments on your versions of the best 5 in recent history. We'll have to get back to that because we're going to run out of time. Richard Hood said that Ric Flair started in 1972.
Yeah, that was. Have you ever seen that? That was odd. Looking at him when he first started.
And Lance did say he meant that was the first time he was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion when he. Let's see. I won't say what David Lee Filippo said. He said Jericho is rocking it right now. Yeah, he's rocking it all right, rocking it all the way to the bank every week. He's making some money.
Cash checks.
He is making, something out of nothing. I'll give him that.
Yeah, that's true. This is true. Kevin said the only thing I hate about AEW is 120 pounder is considered a heavyweight now. You say I can't even stand that Lucha, the big guy. I don't know. He wears a mask because it looks like he's the guy from Big Brother.
Luchasaurus.
Yeah, he played on Big Brother. Now that's where I knew him from. He was I don't guess he played on there. I guess he was a contestant on Big Brother. Heel wrestler, wrestling forever. Thank
Amen.
You so much. That's what we know. Michael Barr said, "I like the time the Legion Doom Road Warriors wrestled against Doom, Ron Simmons, Butchery. They had some great feuds. I'm pretty sure those were some great matches. Ain't no doubt." I just popped in and caught Britt's comment. Says, "I can't stomach today's wrestling. I don't watch it at all anymore. I watch the old stuff on YouTube." And I think do you guys believe that's being done a lot? That the old wrestling fans, the 8 million people that's not watching wrestling, they're watching the old stuff?
Yeah. I wear my vintage wrestling tees out, and I get comments all the time, from people saying, I watch stuff on YouTube. I can't stand the new stuff. And even fans that come to the show in Rome, they don't watch the current product.
Wow.
What do you think, Rod?
No, I absolutely do. I absolutely do. In fact, I do. I watch it all the time. I mean, I just got through watching some stuff from Australia that was awesome. Just absolutely awesome.
Let's see. Joe
the
said
original World Championship Wrestling.
He's not an Orange Cassidy fan either. I didn't even know his name. Sorry, I don't know. I just watch bits and pieces on YouTube, so I don't really have time to watch it. When you're doing this show, it takes a lot to do the research on these.
CBS Sports says he's the breakout star.
Who does?
The CBS Sports. He's the breakout star. That's the reason.
Well, I wish he'd break out and go somewhere else.
That's where they're getting all those great, huge ratings.
He's the breakout star.
They're blazing the ratings.
Well, now they will probably not even get a blurb soon because Big Brother starts tomorrow night.
Uh-oh.
So AEW, Big Brother will get all the publicity then.
Big Brother's coming to town. He's going to eat your lunch.
The sad thing is AEW is WWE light. As far as I'm concerned, other than MJF and FTR, there is no other wrestlers that are worth, a
darn.
He meant what he said. Don't you dare. There's no need to censor him.
I will say this.
He said exactly right.
I will agree with him. MJF, I think, has potential to be one of the best heels of this generation. I mean, he is spot on. I don't care for the language of any of them that they, when they use certain words, but the character he has is really, it's a real heel, and it gets over. And the tag team he was talking about, those guys are just a throwback to old school. They're Tully and Arn in there all over again. That's the style they work, and it works. It gets over, and nobody's paying attention that the older school stuff of being a real heel and being a real tag team are actually drawing.
They don't see it because they don't know what it is. But I want to make this point about the current product. When I do watch WWE, I am very impressed with the wrestlers. The wrestlers I am impressed with. Their abilities to do what they're doing in the ring, it looks good. The stuff they do look good. What they're being trained to do. Now, they do some things that I wouldn't, but what they're doing fundamentally in there, they're doing a good job at what they're doing. The storylines are just horrible.
Yeah.
Some of them guys could be great if they had some good storylines to go with it and some good booking to go with it. And that's the only thing I see. Give the wrestlers, if they gave the wrestlers of today something to do that would make an impact, I believe they would do well, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen on the WWE side, and it's not going to happen on AEW because they are giving the people what they want the people to see. It's the other way around. You're supposed to be giving the people what they want to see, not, well, this is what you're going to watch, and you either watch it or go home. I mean, that's how they seem to be right now. And that wrestling's been that way for a while now. Let's see. Mike Shaver said one of the worst revelations in wrestling. I wonder what he was talking about. That was a while back, baby. Whatever.
I think he's talking about the Black Scorpion.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. That was a disaster. It was a total disaster.
Yeah, it should have never been Ric Flair.
No. I'm going to just tell you. I'm just going to say it you should have never went backwards. Flair should have never been the world champion again, ever. It was a step backwards.
Dr. Phil Bulb-Grass said, do you know of a match where wrestlers threw up the script and fought for real? I don't. Do you guys?
I had a couple of times that it happened, and I also had a couple of times when it did happen that when they got in the back, they got fired.
And they would have got fired in the territory days. A real fight in the deal, that would have been
yeah.
You would have got fired.
That's not what sells tickets, and it don't belong in the ring. And
if you can't wrestle the next night, doesn't do you any good.
By the way, folks, we're going to go a little longer tonight because we had a substitution. We substituted it for Rodney. So we'll go a little longer. We'll get everybody's deal. It was Chris Candido against Barry Horner. It was Chris Candido. So that was when he was doing the zip.
Yep. Whatever it was. Great, man. Chris was so good.
He said he was Skip at the time.
Yeah.
Skip. Joe said a program with Sting, the Clash of Champions November, where Sting was receiving mystery gift boxes which Luger was revealed and came in and attacked Sting, in which he cost the U.S. belt. Yeah, it was redone. The Black Scorpion deal was redone by Dusty Rhodes. Right after that, it wasn't that long after that. So it was done several times in the wrestling business, and it's probably been done the last because wasn't they going to do the Hacker on WWE? But
from my understanding, they're still going to do it. They're just this coronavirus has kind of derailed them for a moment.
Richard Hood said he also watched old school wrestling on YouTube. Alan Haberman said between WWE, AEW, and back, who has the worst tag team division as far as never having enough tag teams? I don't, Jack. We'll have to throw it to you on that one.
WWE by far. They hadn't put an emphasis on tag teams for years. Yeah. And it shows. AEW's got a strong, as far as number of tag teams. And they've got some good ones there.
I mean, they got 86 wrestlers under contract, so they should have enough to
Impact Wrestling, from my understanding, has got some good ones too. I just don't get to watch them, so I can't really comment.
MGF gets it.
He does.
I heard that he does. Let's see. Joe said MJF is the future of the business. I really like FTR, and I do see a future almost horseman style coming soon with Cody Rhodes leading the way. Well, Cody Rhodes is a great wrestler. Has some great matches. Has the fundamentals of doing it right. He just needs to understand there's got to be heels and there's got to be babyface. If he can get that one down, there's got to be somebody you hate. There's no reason to watch the show.
Exactly.
You gotta hate somebody. You know, on this show they hate Rodney, so they keep on coming back. Rodney didn't like that.
I heard what you said right there.
So
don't worry when the people come start protesting in front of your house.
Your dad told me when I was at Continental, the first time you go out, they're not going to boo you and they're not going to cheer you because they don't know who you are. He said, but the second time you go out, if they're not booing or cheering, then you're not getting over.
That's right. You're exactly right.
Exactly. That is the truth. Right. Richard said the only person he liked is Keith Lee. Now, I have seen Keith Lee. Very, very impressed with Lee.
Keith Lee is great.
Yes, I have seen him. I like Keith Lee. He's a great. And I like the guy from, I guess he's from the Europe side, whatever they call that, the NXT, whatever that is. Yeah, there's a big old guy. I can't remember his name now, what it was called now, but he was a big old dude. And his dad was a wrestler, I think, and very, very good guy. I can't remember. He had one name here. They kept on chanting. I can't remember what it is.
Gosh, I know who you're talking about. I can't.
Big old dude. I mean, this guy's huge. Let's see. Let me hit this. Lance said, I'm up to the point on 1981 GCW when Roddy Piper was co-host with Gordon Solie. Yes.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Great stuff. Great.
I
Piper
love how
made that shit.
when you're watching that, pay attention of how Piper treats Gordon Soley. He's never the enemy. He always shows Gordon tremendous amount of respect while doing nasty stuff to everybody else, but he always showed Gordon respect. And Dad said a long time ago, don't be going out there yelling at the commentator, because you're not ever working with a commentator. You're always going to be working with the people in the ring, whoever you're going to work with. Don't be yelling at the commentator, because he's not going to be your opponent. And I just thought that was such class between Piper and Gordon. And almost developed that relationship, which they used later on. It's beautiful.
Let's see here. Pete Taylor said, I would like to see one of these new wrestlers go for an hour in the ring like I used to see grudge matches in the old days.
Pete, you're just trying to torture people.
Hey,
you're just sadistic. I know how you are, sir. I can tell what kind of person that you are.
Probably what people don't realize, years ago when they would run a small town, they would have 6 guys on the card. And those 6 guys would go for the whole 2 hours worth of wrestling. And they would have 2 out of 3 fall matches. And they would go out and work for 20 minutes, go to the dressing room. When the Fargos used to wrestle, Dad used to tell this story. When the Fargos used to wrestle, they would do one match. They would do the first fall. They'd leave. They'd have an intermission. Jackie and Don and Ruff, they would go change their outfits, put other robes and stuff on, whatever they had, go back out, do the second fall. Then they'd go back in, change their outfits, and come back out again. And they would almost do a whole hour and a half matches with your intermission and stuff.
And that's where the matches were an event. That's where that was the event.
Yeah. The worst idea was the Killer Kong. They couldn't get in the ring without tripping. Yeah, I remember the Killer Kong. Y'all remember them?
I do.
They wore masks, right? They wore the mask. And who were those guys? Did anybody even know who they were?
They worked independents, I want to say, in Texas before they got brought in.
I don't remember. I just remember them coming in there. So I just remember big old dudes that were managed by Harley Race. Am I correct?
I don't remember Harley being with them. Could have. I just don't remember.
Well, now I didn't remember half this stuff that's in this book.
I just remember they were as wide as they were tall.
Michael Barr said he enjoyed the podcast, and thank you so much, Michael. We enjoy doing it, and we will continue doing it. And we've got all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things to talk about in the next few months. We have a lot of things we want to talk about. Joe said, was Karrion Kross. What's your guys?
Oh, that guy is superb. Superb, cream of the crop. I think he's going to be a huge star if they will treat him right.
Where's he wrestling? WWE?
NXT. Just a tremendous athlete. Yeah, great look. Heck, the entrance alone is worth watching.
Hey, Walter. Walter was the guy.
That's it.
Yes,
Walter.
Tremendous. Old school type of thought. He knew what he was doing. He knew how to get heat. Walter is the guy. If you've not watched him, if you're an old school wrestling fan, do a YouTube search or something. Put that Walter on there and watch him wrestle. Very good. He's one of the best. And Alan also said you're talking about Walter, NXT UK champion. Yes, he is. He is so good. Everybody told us Walter after that. But yeah, if you've not seen him, go see him. Rob said if they went for an hour a day, there'd be 3 million super kicks.
True. Rob is on fire tonight. I want to tell you right now, he is on fire. What if you had a match where you banned the super kick?
Or the clothesline. Either one of those is going to kill their whole wrestling match over. Joe, love wrestling talk and enjoy listening to you guys. Thank you so much, Joe. We really do love everybody that comes on here and they're a part of our podcast, whether it's Monday on the Wrestling Conversation, Tuesday on the Wrestling, what do we call this? Tuesday Wrestling Talk, Thursday Continental Championship Wrestling, and Friday on the YouTube channel. If you have not went to the YouTube channel, we talk Mid-South Wrestling. And now
We got a good one this week.
I've got to say this: people on here may be saying that we may have made the one guy mad when we talk about AEW, but are we correct? On Mid-South Wrestling, we have not always said great things about the show.
No.
We're still trying to figure out what that Dr. Death was about.
So it's not
later on. We're gonna be able to enjoy the snowman.
Bad wrestling
right now. It's gonna be fun. Or I saw one. What about Thor? What did we call him?
Man,
what did we used to call him?
Thor the
Terrible. And that's because he was terrible. not because he was terrible, vicious. He was just terrible. He was talking about. I think somebody said something earlier about the ring ropes beating people up. They did him. But Watts liked him because he's a big guy.
This is the thing, folks. Just we're an equal opportunity knocker, if that's the word you want to call it. Offender. Yes. Because we'll look at the stuff that happened years ago, and if it was not good, we'll tell you it was no good.
But this week will not be one of those weeks. Oh boy,
good stuff this week.
It's awesome. It's awesome. One of my favorite, most memorable things. And the thing about it, you do something so super hot like that, and then everybody leaves, and they use it in world class. Talk about it Friday on the Mid-South. It's gonna be awesome.
It will be awesome, but folks, we do not just say bad things about the current wrestling. There were bad things going on years ago, and there are things that killed and hurt the wrestling business back then. So it was the same as it is today, and even then we spoke about it and talked about it, and we'll tell you the stuff that we saw back then that could have potentially hurt the wrestling business and did hurt the wrestling business, and why it quit drawing even back in the
I would like to remind everyone that I was suspended on a Thursday program I didn't say anything about today's product I was talking about then.
Yeah, Jack he had no other choice. But let's before we leave, let's show Jack the Bomber Warrior. Can you show your shirt again? Let's get a good solo look at that. Bomber the Jack Lord t-shirt. And then he also has his mug that you can get. Jack the Bomber, Jack Lord mug. And we gotta plug it. We gotta plug our merchandise.
Oh, caught me in the drink. Sorry.
You can get your merchandise if you like to support the channel. You can go to facebook.com where you're watching it. Go to the shop now button. Hit the shop button, and we've got t-shirts, women tank stocks, cell phone covers, masks, coffee cups, and more available on our Teespring. I guess it'd be called a website, Teespring website, and you can go over there and get all our merchandise and support the channel. If you like what we're doing, go over there and support our channel.
Yeah. Another Jack, he just said that they were, and I remember them as the Colossal Kongs that we were talking about. I remember them going at the Colossal Kongs.
Yeah.
And he was absolutely right. They were the Colossal Kongs, and they were colossal, all right.
That was for the Global Wrestling Federation. That was Joe Pedicino, right?
Right.
Okay, folks, anything we need to discuss before we leave this 1 hour and a half podcast that we did tonight?
That's right. Steamed it.
It was fun. Don't ever ask us to pull some black magic out of our pocket, because we are fully capable of doing
that. Is right.
All right, Rodney, any kind of
I've had a great time. We've had a great time here tonight, and plan on doing it again some of the time.
If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead.
I waited. I'm firing it up as soon as we're off.
Chris
I didn't want to cough during the show.
I'm afraid they've already got a whole crew full of them.
Go ahead, Brent.
All right. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a big thumbs up. Give us the big thumbs up. Also, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell to let you know when we're going to upload other videos about professional wrestling history. And if you're watching on Facebook, like and share the page. Let everyone know that we are on and talking about the history of professional wrestling, and we'll sometimes make you happy, and sometimes Rodney will make you mad. But that's all right. That's part.
I am personally challenging Mr. Robert Gibson to come on here. If he's got any guts in his entire body, he will show up. And I promise I will not be mean to him. I'm not saying that Jack won't, but I will not be mean to him. How's that?
All right.
Got any guts? Come on here, Robert.
Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. This is the Tuesdays Wrestling Talk, and we'll see you on the next episode of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out Live.